Welcome back. You're still watching Citizen Explainer. We're here at Daystar University and we're having a conversation about the plan of the government for the financial year 2025-2026. It kicks off on the 1st of July 2025. So many questions that have been coming from the audience here. But before we took a break, Alan, you were to give us your thoughts about the conversation so far and if you think it's meeting what the young people would have wanted to see in their country. And if it's not, just let us know so that we stop this conversation.
Thank you so much, Sam. First, allow me to say that it's a good start. Because previously, I think many of us, we just used to see during the time of reading the budget. But you've seen this is a very good engagement. But I think we need to do more, especially in terms of creating spaces to, before even having this kind of engagement, especially for the young people. We need where maybe the Treasury will be able to come and unpack, for example, unpack the finance bill to the young people. Maybe, let me say, two days. Then after that, once they have unpacked, the young people have understood, then we can have this kind of engagement. Because you've seen even the first round, the second round, most of the questions have not come from the young people. But they are very willing and they are here. And the reason is because this kind of platform need to be created more so that, first of all, we unpack to the young people can be able to understand the document, and then they speak from the point of facts. But I must really commend the CS and the Treasury. I think this is a very good start. That can be my comment in terms of the immediate observation that I've seen.
All right, and we'll get to the questions. Before we do that, Waziri, you just told us that there's a deliberate effort to cut expenditure. I'm looking at the State House budget for the financial year 2025-2026. It's 5.34 billion shillings. Out of that, you have government advisory services at 1.246 billion shillings. And last year, the estimate was 1.27 billion shillings. So it remains more or less the same place. If you have to look at what has happened since you joined government, the number of advisors have been going up, especially for that particular office I mentioned. What is the rationale here when you are sharing the national resources against the services that need to be funded?
Yeah, first, allow me to mention two things before I come to that. Number one is my apologies. I'm told the finance bill has not been uploaded in our website. On our website, I think there was communication with the Parliament, National Assembly, that they wanted us this time to just upload once they publish the bill. So I think we need to find a way of getting this bill to the public quickly. I'll make sure that I discuss with the clerk of the National Assembly.
Sorry, so National Treasury will publish what Parliament will have received from you? So that we avoid duplication of publishing the same bill. One bill is here, another, so that we are sure that there is just one bill. National Assembly had requested that we don't upload. I remember that request, that we don't upload the bill until they publish the bill. So I've been told they have not yet published the bill, so it couldn't be uploaded. But if that is the case, I'll talk to National Assembly to make sure that the bill is out. So it's a simple matter. There's a question that came on withholding tax, and I think I need to make that clarity so that it doesn't go as if that is the truth. I think there's a gentleman who sent a text that on scrap metals, we are increasing withholding tax to 5%, and that is not correct. I think what he meant is that there is an amendment that we are bringing there. Remember, before, supply of services to governments was subjected to withholding tax. However, supply of goods were not. So we brought an amendment in December through the Tax Laws Amendment Bill that supply of goods and scrap metals also should be subjected to withholding tax at the same rate. Now, this year, we are not changing the rates. The only thing we are doing is what we forgot to do was to determine the supply of goods and scrap metal as income, because that was not captured in law. So you have to make sure that is also captured in law, that these are income. If you just subject them to withholding tax without putting it in law that they are also income,
then you don't collect the tax. There was that confusion. So that is what we are trying to do. We are not amending, we are not changing any tax rates. On the question you have asked me, Sam, it should be appreciated that there are also facilities that need improvement. And that is the fact that state houses have remained unrenovated for years is in itself an eyesore. And so we have, from last year, done a lot of renovations. And now these installations, most government buildings have not been renovated for long. In fact, some, if we had money, the National Treasury is in a terrible state. I would want it renovated. It's only that I look at money going for primary health care vis-a-vis renovating my office. If you come to my office, Sam, and that is the National Treasury, and you look at the window, it is terrible. It needs renovation. But it may not be a priority now. But that does not mean we don't need to renovate this building. Because again, if you leave government buildings unattended to, you will end up spending much more in future. So the fact that a location has gone to State House should not in itself be condemned.
I actually like your answer, but my question was about government advisory.
Government?
Advisory.
You are asking about president advisors?
Yes.
I don't have authority to hire advisors for the president. Some, I don't want us to go beyond my paycheck.
Your estimates. I'm talking about your estimates. Waziri, 1.246 billion shillings.
The law allows the president.
The
law allows the president
to hire
advisors.
How many?
And by the way, there is no provision in terms of numbers. The people of Kenya didn't give.
Do you
what
recall?
The people of Kenya did was to allocate to the president the maximum number of cabinet. But in terms of advisors, if you go to the law, it is left open.
There was a circular published by your predecessor to cut government advisors by 50%. Not them, but reduce government advisors by 50%.
That has been done.
Does that affect
religiously?
Does that affect the presidency?
That circular did not affect presidency because cabinet secretary for treasury cannot issue a circular to the president.
Even when it's a government position?
You cannot. The government position that is binding to the entire government, including the office of the president, is a circular from the office of the president. From National Treasury, it's at that level. That one.
So who'd send the circular from the office of the president?
If you make that mistake, you'd be running a chaotic government.
So who'd send the circular from the office of the president?
Either the president himself, or he can use the president has head of public service who issues circulars.
Do you know that he actually communicated about that circular, the head of public service?
About?
That circular of cutting the number of advisors.
And that has been implemented.
Felix Koskei communicated that.
That has been implemented, Sam.
But you're saying he's the only one who can give an instruction that affects the office of the president.
So now the question you are asking me is why the president is not respecting the circular of Felix Koskei.
That's a good question.
No, I think Sam, that one will be debating throughout the night.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's stick to what is within my paycheck.
Okay.
And it is this, that all advisors were cut by at least 50%. Today, Sam, I only have one advisor. My predecessor had two. So that is how much we have.
But that advice is enough, no?
I don't know whether it is enough, but I'm surviving.
Okay.
I have technical people who are supporting me, so I am okay.
Let's hear from the audience.
All right, so thank you very much, Sam. And of course, as we had earlier promised, we're going to engage the Gen Zs who are the center of the Reject Finance Bill last year. And today, a number of them are here. And I just want to give them an opportunity. I'll start with you. Go ahead, introduce yourself, and ask the question. Keep it as brief.
Thank you very much. My name is Winnie Lagat, representing micro, small, and medium entrepreneurs. My question is one. Najua mumetusahau, wacha niongee Kiswahili. Mina represent Mama Mboga Digital. So I'm asking CS, sisi kama Mama Mboga, both digital na wale wenye sio digital. Of course akina mama zetu ushago, mumetutengea nini raundi? Kwa sababu serikali ya bottom up ilituahidi mingi na wakatuambia watatutengea mingi. Sasa huu mwaka tusidi kutegemea ama mumetutengea ya ukweli?
All right, thank you so much. There's a young man here.
Thank you very much. This has been long coming. My name is Wesley Masongo. I'm the Emeritus President, Riara University, and a student of International Relations. So, although the National Treasury has not posted the finance bill, I've got to look at it. And the finance bill seeks to amend Section 59A of the tax procedures, especially by deleting Part 1B. This Section 1B actually empowers, or rather prevents, the KRA from accessing or integrating company systems with its own system if that integration will actually expose the company's secrets and personal information that is held by the company in trust, or rather on behalf of the client. Now, reading that with Article 31 of the Constitution about data protection and the Data Protection Act of 2019, there's a section or provisions of non-disclosure that prevents companies from actually disclosing regardlessly the data of individual. I'm tempted, or rather I'm forced to ask the question, how does giving the KRA this permission by deleting Part 1B of Section 59A of that tax procedures, how does that align with the national best, or rather international best practices in terms of securing company secrets? And two, how does it secure the data, the privacy of consumers, now that we live in a government that has exposed and has misused personal information in terms of committing some of the crimes that we are saying?
All right, thank you very much, and of course.
Okay, thank you. My name is John Muli, the Academic Secretary, St. Paul's University. Mine goes to the CS also, and it is about how do you plan to address the new funding model in the university, and also the release of the comrades' money on time, that we don't need to go to streets again. And also, because whenever we push on the streets is when now we get a positive feedback from the government. And lastly, you are talking about cutting down taxes, and at the same time, we have to repay debts, and also we as the Kenyans, and especially comrades, we are against the borrowing. We just need you to clarify, how will you be able to run the budget well if you are not increasing taxes, if you are not borrowing, and also we need to repay debts.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, very pertinent questions there, and of course I'll take one from this side. All right.
My name is Harrison Ayodi. Bwana CS, as you know, here in Kenya we have 1,000 of border borders. And
kindly hold your mic closer to you.
And is there an allocation for us to have our own roads, because we are using the same roads with the pedestrian?
All right, pass it next to.
Evening, my name is Evan Somondi. I have a question. Does the Finance Bill 2025 include any specific measures aimed at improving the economic condition or livelihoods of people in slums?
All right. Thank you very much. And of course, Sam, we'll try to give it to a group of young people here. Yes, they're very active in looking for the opportunity. So all right, there's one who's been appointed, so just go ahead. Introduce yourself and ask your question.
Okay, thank you. I'm Moses Okal, the president of Technical University of Kenya. Bwana CS, so unfortunate that most questions are being directed to you. So do mine. You talked about zero-based budgeting. I don't know how this one has the effect it has on pending bills. And just as you know that I come from, the institution I come from, it was declared insolvent by the parliament, to be specific, the Senate, some few weeks ago. And based on that, I think a semester that was supposed to end in December ended 3 weeks ago due to the onset and offset of staff strikes, that is the industrial action. So, and I've also heard you talking about the allocations you've done to the higher education. And the bills that the university have, I think we are owing approximately 19 billion Kenya shillings. So, I don't know your office, if they have made this one into consideration in the upcoming academic financial year. Sorry.
All right.
I'm much more conversant with academic matters. Now we are talking about financial year. And if not, may you take it into consideration such that we get out of debt, because we don't know when we are going to, whether we are going to get proceed with learning or not. So please, we ask for that.
All right, thank you very much. Now, there's a gentleman here who claims to be a youth. Let's just get his sentiments.
Okay. Thank you. I'm not a youth, but I have a question concerning the border borders. My name is Robert Nyamweya. I'm the chairman of border border within the CBD in Nairobi. My question is this. When riding, you must wear an helmet. And I can see you've increased the cost of the imported plastics. What are you doing what measures are you putting in place to safeguard the lives of our guys? Secondly, okay, all right.
Questions to get to you. All right.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Liban Guyo, and I work with the National Cohesion and Integration Commission. In our country, the allocation of national resources has always followed or influenced by the politics of numbers. The more populated an area is, the more they are able to detect the allocation of resources. And in most cases, the densely populated areas are the ones which are advanced in all the spheres of development. Because we are following the formula of looking exactly at the population. My question to Waziri is, in this year's budget, to what extent is this year's budget follow the equity formula in resource allocation? Looking at indicators such as poverty, infrastructure deficits, land mass, and historical marginalization. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And of course, some you can see from the questions that we are having here, a lot of interest on this topic, but for now, back to you.
All right, and when I come back to the questions, please allow me. I've had enough gentlemen. I want to hear from ladies on the questions they have to ask. And after that, they'll give me a vote. Waziri.
Quite a mouthful.
Yeah.
Now, again, let me start with the data protection question, because I think that one has been canvassed and discussed. Let me put it this way. This amendment, which we are trying to remove, was not there before. That provision of the law in our tax laws, it was not there in the tax procedures. It was brought in by Parliament, and I think it was a mistake. Already, the tax procedures had taken care of the data protection, because if you look at the provisions of that, the Tax Procedures Act, it speaks to in line with the Data Protection Act. So you can't go outside the Data Protection Act. Then someone felt at one point, and think it was in 2023, if I'm not wrong, someone brought it as an amendment and indicated that for you, and this is how it read. Maybe if I could just quickly read it. Sorry, thank you. Thank you, Mheshimiwa. That that if it's a commissioner from integrating or sharing data related to trade secrets and private personal information held on behalf of customers or collected during the course of business. If you don't define these trade secrets and you don't define private personal data information, Commissioner General would not look at any data in this country. And I think this was the intention of this amendment. It was mischievous in my view. It was denying KRA opportunity to see the visibility of people who are avoiding to pay tax. And there are many. Many of you, out of your salaries, you are stressed, you are deducted tax, yet there are so many people out there operating huge bank accounts, and they cannot pay tax simply because they are protected by this kind of mischievous laws. And you want to defend them in the disguise that there is data protection. Data protection principle is already there, and the law captures it very well. You cannot go outside that province. Let us please not fall into this temptation of protecting tax cheats. Some of us who are protecting these people, we don't even have anything much to hide. You don't even have any secret, leave alone trade. What are these trade secrets? There's simply financial information someone is denying Kenya Revenue Authority so that they don't pay taxes. And they are building huge buildings here in town. They are driving big cars. They are showing opulence all over. And you earn only 50,000 and you surrender almost 30%, 35% to Kenya Revenue Authority. It is unfair. It is immoral. It is something that we should not allow to continue. And that is my position. On the issue of MSMEs, my sister, by the way, let me make it clear that we have made some provisions for MSMEs. We are even increasing the Hustler Fund, by the way, so that you can take more loan out of that fund. And there are a targeted allocation for MSMEs and cooperatives
increasing
to support.
To what,
yeah?
Increasing to what? The Hustler
Fund? We are adding 1 billion. You know, we are also cash strapped. So the money should be revolving, but we are putting in more injection of 1 billion in the budget. But let me also put it this way. It is not that you have been lied to, that you are not being attended to. Look at this program which has been scandalized, condemned, but now I can see people are accepting. SHA. So many Kenyans could not afford medication. So many Kenyans were suffering from chronic diseases and they are earning nothing. They cannot afford medication. We are making provision in this budget to make money available so that some of these people who have chronic diseases and cannot afford insurance can afford it, can go to hospital and be treated, even if you're operating as an MSME. So look at this budget in totality. Look at it, how much is provided for primary health care, how much is provided for critical, chronic, emergency and critical health cover, how much is provided for education. So we look at it in totality. But I would guarantee you, money is not enough. But we have provided some money for the micro, small, and medium enterprises. I want to be quick because of the timing. The new funding model, I think this one can be best explained by the Ministry of Education. But we have provided money, as I said. Under HELP, we have provided 41 billion. Under university funding, there is another 14.6 billion. So we are providing funds for university funding. And universities in general, and that is to address the question of TUC, I wish we had enough money to get out our universities which are facing financial crisis out of their problems. But we don't. And I think one problem that we have is that we are living a lie. We need to look for a better way through which universities can make money. I remember when I was at the university, there was a problem, this almost similar problem. That is when we came up with the parallel degree programs. The parallel degree program, the mistake we did, was supposed to be a transitional program to transition us to where universities focus on certain critical things. One was research, and two, the universities are supposed to provide consultancy. World over, Universities are financed through research and consultancy. Here in Kenya, we have killed research and consultancy. So we need to redirect resources to research and consultancy to make universities be economically viable. But if we continue thinking that we can fund them, right now we have provided 86 billion for universities, but that will not be enough. But it is a step forward. I was just addressing your question because you asked, how much have we provided? There is 86 billion shillings for the universities. On releasing money in good time without going to the street, no, we will release money. Immediately we get it. Immediately we collect, we release. By the way, we try as much as possible, Sam. Yeah. When we are prioritizing exchequer releases, we are usually very alert, especially January. We make sure capitation is released to schools 50%, and we did that in the first term. Universities also, we make sure that we finance Higher Education Loans Board and the new model of funding. We will make sure that that is done timely. Cutting taxes, yes, my friend asked a question on, we are saying we are not going to increase taxes, yet he doesn't want us to take debts. I am also with you in that same boat. We cannot continue taking, overburdening ourselves with debts. That is why when we realize that revenue projection is coming down, we are equally cutting expenditure so that the budget deficit remains within the fiscal framework that we had already agreed on. The fiscal framework, the budget deficit, we are pegging it at no more than 4.5%. It has been coming down. Remember, when the last government left office, it was at 8.1%. It came down to 6.2%, 5.6%, 5.3%. This year it is going to be 5.1%. We want to come down to the next financial year. We are going to 4.5%. In the medium term, 2.7%. And that is how we are going to get out of that debt trap. There was a question on how is this finance bill helping the livelihoods of people in the slums? By the way, it's not even about finance bill, the budget estimates. And I've spoken to that already. I've given a number of examples of how much we are targeting the group. In fact, the cash transfer is taking 35 billion in this budget in the coming financial year. But we want, the cash transfer is growing exponentially. So we have already told the ministry, the State Department, to make sure that that register is also cleaned. Because we have people there, I believe, who are getting cash transfer, who should not get cash transfer. We cannot pay 44 billion per year as cash transfer. It is a good thing. It is progressive. It is something we must continue doing, but we must do it with we must make it efficient, and we must remove any names which are not supposed to be there. I'm struggling some because of my voice, but let me answer the last question. Last one was on pending bills. How does that tie in to zero-based budgeting? Well, pending bills, we have already put it very clearly that it is in law. It should be the first charge. However, we have accumulated some pending bills over the years. We formed a committee. That committee has actually almost is nearing completing the work. If you look at the pending bills that have been approved out of the total that was received, over 663 billion pending bills. Out of that total, the amount that has been approved, certified, they have already analyzed over 574 billion. And they have certified only 229. Now, what does that tell you? If we didn't form this committee and we had money to just pay, we would have paid more than 50% of fictitious bills, probably. Now, this 229, the ones under the road sector is about 80 billion, which we are already sorting out. We went out, raised some money, and we are paying all road contractors their pending bills. The remaining amount, which is about 148 billion, the government has already made a commitment, but we are going to have a cabinet meeting to pass it. So I don't want to make a commitment here until the cabinet passes it. We want to make sure that we pay all the pending bills to bring back liquidity to the economy. Immediately the cabinet takes a decision, then that will be communicated to Kenyans, and they will know and understand, they will get to know when these bills will be paid.
So let me just get clarity there. So 229 billion shillings has been certified.
Yes.
So will you require a budget to allocate resources for it? How will you do that?
I want to, I actually wanted to leave that for the moment because those are the decisions that the cabinet is taking. We have two options. Option A is to bring it to the budget. Okay? Bring it to, actually we have three options. Option number one, put it in the budget there and increase our deficit. Because of course you cannot just be paying pending bills without offering services. That's correct. So it means we'll have to increase our budget deficit to say 6%, which is not desirable. Number two, we could put it what accountants call below the line. Some, I don't know whether you know that. But what below the line simply means is that this is an amount that is amount owing. We can get a credit facility, yeah, maybe through issuance of a bond, and specifically target it. So it is right there below the line. The last one is to go and raid my friend here, Lawrence Kibet's department. He is one in charge of state-owned enterprises. We can look for one and sell.
Okay.
Yeah, and privatize. I know selling sometimes makes people... We privatize, like we did with Safaricom.
Yeah.
We privatized part of Safaricom largely.
Yeah.
We could go and complete privatization of Safaricom, or we could go to another SOE, state-owned enterprise, and privatize it full or half, and get money and pay. So those are options that the government has.
Okay.
And those are the things that we are exploring. So not yet determined.
Yeah.
So I want it to be clear, because unless the cabinet approves, those are still John Mbadi's thoughts.
Before we get to the audience, recently the government was in China, led by the president, and there are several deals that were signed going into hundreds of billions, or tens of billions rather, more than 100 billion. And those MOUs, one of them talks about a chicken farm in Kajiado costing some 3.8 billion shillings. These are breeding birds that are to be reared there. There's also a plan to have the hotels in town, Hilton Hotel and Intercontinental Hotel. I think they're combined of more than 2 billion shillings. What is it that the government of Kenya is offering these investors that looks so attractive that is difficult to give to local investors to do similar work in the country?
Well, you see, Sam, I was the first one to go to China. Let me first put it very clearly that China is a very important trading partner and development partner that we cannot ignore. It's emerging as one of our serious destinations for coffee. But in terms of bilateral loans or debts, China is leading. Of the total 1.07 trillion debt, 660-something billion is owed to China. So that is not a development partner you would ignore. So we must engage. I went to China. We had engagement on a number of projects. Discussion around SGR, extending it from Naivasha to do line 2B to Kisumu and do line 2C to Malaba, so that it connects with the one that Uganda is starting, to go all the way to Rwanda. We had a meeting with the Minister for Rwanda, Uganda. We want to go all the way to DRC and open up this market. It is good for Kenya. Now there is also the issue of Rironi Mau Summit, but all these discussions are around PPP projects mostly, because we also feel that we are squeezed in terms of the fiscal space to take more loans. Now, in terms of investment, private investments, these are negotiated through the ministry, and this will be, the details will come out. for someone to invest, someone must see value in that investment. And there are so many foreign investments in the country. We don't ask why is a foreign investor coming and not a local investor. It depends on the capacity of that foreign investor. And by the way, direct foreign investment is very good. It brings a lot of foreign exchange, and it brings expertise and professionalism. So if there are hotels around that can be converted and can be bought by or invested in by those foreign investments, hotels which probably we could not run as a government, the better. But the process will be competitive. That is the starting point.
But at least won't include Kenyan investors, right?
No. I have not read the details of the process, but I don't see why it shouldn't. I think the process, when you sign MOU, is an intention. MOU is not an agreement.
Okay.
So we have not signed any agreement with anybody.
Right.
There is intention. We are telling them these facilities are here. You can come competitively. By the way, even Rironi Mau Summit, if you have money, please come and bid. And do it. It doesn't have to be done by Chinese. It's only that there are people who have more resources than us. And they can come in and invest in our public.
Again, I like your answer, but my question was very specific to Kajiado Chicken Farm worth 3.8 billion shillings to create 500 jobs, to rear 10,000 breeding birds, but you say you don't have the specifics?
No, I don't have. Those ones with the specifics now will be the line ministries negotiating. When it comes to the treasury,
okay,
it comes for concurrence. So it will come. Okay. If now the government decides to implement, the cabinet memo will come from the line ministry, come to National Treasury. Before I sign it, Sama will be satisfied that all the conditions are met. Then is when I will sign it to go to the Attorney General. And it is a lengthy process that will go to the cabinet, and the cabinet will finally endorse. That is when it will be an agreement. Otherwise now, what we have are wish lists. MOUs.
It's very interesting. The president witnessed the signing of those MOUs, but it will go through the process and come to the cabinet, which is chaired by the president. But we'll wait and see. Jimmy, what are the questions?
No, you can't get away with that. Some, let me tell you. There are so many things, there's so much intention that the president has had.
Yeah.
But a lot of them, presidents in the world, a lot of them don't see light of day, because when you now start taking them through the process, then they fail at some point.
All right.
That is when a system is working. When I have the pen of the cabinet secretary, I don't share it with anyone. So long as I am still the cabinet secretary, the day the president removes me, that power goes instantly. But so long as I still have it, I'm the only one who has it. I don't even share it with the president.
Sure.
Yes.
Good point. Questions?
All right, and Waziri, we are hoping that you won't be removed anytime soon, because there are some pertinent questions that are coming in. And one is from RMA Kiberenge, who says, CS Mbadi, as an MP, you used to demand that Treasury make public the debt register. As the CS, now that you're the CS, when will you make public the debt register?
Can I answer that?
Go for it.
Kiberenge, I think, has not been following. When I came to the Treasury, the first thing I said is that we are going to make public the debt register. Yeah. First of all, it should be understood that the debt register, even today, is public. You go to Treasury website, you'll get it there. But what I committed myself to is the audit of that register. And immediately I came in, the Auditor General came in. We invited the Auditor General. And that invite did not just come from the time I came to the Treasury. When I was the Public Accounts Committee chair, I had already written to the Auditor General to come to the National Treasury and audit. Remember, the President formed a team which faced legal challenges. Now, the Auditor General is working on the audit of the public debt register as we speak. This is an independent office. If I am even seen or heard or imagined that I'm controlling them to bring that report tomorrow, I would be acting unconstitutionally. I should be impeached. And since I don't want to be impeached, I want to leave it that the Auditor General will make public that report, because she has come in There was entry meeting. She has been meeting with my team here. Rafael Owino is leading that team. The audit is done publicly, and the report will come out publicly.
All right, thank you for that response, Waziri. We want to get a few questions from the ladies. We know that they've been very quiet. I'll start here. Kindly just tell us your name and go straight to your question. Keep it as brief as possible.
Thank you so much. My name is Harriet Tabitha. Okay, I'm Harriet Tabitha. I would like to know, how does the finance bill align with the priorities in the National Development Plan, that is bottom-up economy transformation agenda?
My name is Nelly Kabiru, and I wanted to ask a question for the common mwananchi to understand. How much has been allocated for the proposed Finance Bill 2025? Do we have enough money to finance the Finance Bill 2025? If not, what is the plan? How much are we going to borrow? And how much money has been put aside to pay debts that are already existing? Thank you.
My name is Jacqueline Angami. Mine is citizen welfare and equity. How does the finance bill address equity, particularly for youth, women, and persons with disability? Is there a plan to reduce tax burden on low-income earners or provide target subsidies?
All right, thank you for your questions. We'll take the lady at the far end in green. Kindly, we could just move closer. All right, so just pass out the mic.
I'm Cynthia Otiende, and my question is, what do you understand to be the primary goals of the Financial Bill 2025?
All right, thank you for your question. And there's a lady right here.
Thank you. Simone Charity is my name. I'm the coordinator of Digital Health and Education Network. My question is to Mr. Alan. You mentioned about there being enough public participation. Now, there's been an outcry of the youth having lost a lot of money and hitting rock bottom because of betting companies and online gaming. Now, what measures are you taking to ensure that you're going to safeguard and ensure that the youths are well taken care of? At the same time, how best are you going to ensure that you generate income through the betting farms and ensure that the society continues in a better way? Thank you.
All right. Let me have the mic. All right, thank you for your question. There's a gentleman here.
Thank you. Thank you. My name is Dongo Merie. I'm a university graduate on matters economics, finance, and accounting. And my question goes direct to the CS Treasury. I think these people Kenyan, they are sparing you. Let me ask you a heavier question, because 12 trillion Kenya shillings that we are facing is not a simple question. My question goes like this. I will read it so that you can light it, because I want to take the shortest time possible. Number one, even as we have discussed this, I would like Kenyans to ask themselves whether what we are discussing here is within the Constitution, because Article 221, the budget shall contain estimate of revenue and expenditure. So the budget we are talking about here must have contained the revenues, which I'm getting that you are going around. You do not want to explain how much exactly, because the Constitution says the budget shall. So I want the CS to answer my question like this. Yes, and the question goes like this, so that I take that second. There is the four CRABs financiers, which is the Paris CRAB, which contain IMF, World Bank, bilateral, which give bilateral and multilateral loans. We have the Chinese CRAB, who are in the expenditure of our budget estimate. We have the London CRAB, which give us the Eurobond, the syndicated loans, the Citibank, Standard Chartered, Trade Development Bank. And the other CRAB is Chinese CRAB, and we have domestic CRAB. So my question is, CS, now that now that you have the finance bill, the finance budget, the budget for 2025-2026, you know, if you look on March, the Parliament revised our debt payment upward from 1.8 trillion to 2.04 trillion. And it revised down the revenue estimate to 2.7, and now it is 2.58. That means the estimated, the revised debt payment and revenue estimate means that the revenue, the debt payment is collecting about 79%, which is 80% of our revenue go to debt payment. Now you have given us a budget estimate of 4.3 trillion. If you look at on our constitution, it says in PFM Act 2012, section 15(2), that every borrowing must be of development expenditure. So if you have this estimate, the question is, how will you budget this budget if the constitution does not allow you to borrow any money that is not for development? If the debt payment estimate for this year is 2.2 trillion and the actual tax revenue, which you realize even this year, 2024-2025, is around 2.2 trillion. But you'll judge me when you finalize with your account. So how will you finance the 4.3 trillion without borrowing money that will go to the current expenditure, which is against our constitution that we promulgated in 2010?
All right, your question is very clear. Jimmy.
Okay, thank you. Two final questions here.
Thank you. I'm
There are
Grace.
too many. I'm even losing track.
Thank you. I'm Grace. My question goes to Mr. Alan. You mentioned that most of the youths are actually not informed about this financial bill and the process of it. So, which means it's a crisis to our country because the youths are our next leaders. So, what I would like to ask is, what are you exactly doing as the representatives of the youths up there to bridge that information gap among the youth? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And of course, Sam, just let's close with this young lady.
Well, thank you. Okay, I'm Machuma Susan from St. Paul's University. And my question is, we've had so many industries, for example, the pan paper in Western Kenya, which collapsed like 10 years ago. And every time the ministry plans and budgets for developments, it's included. So do you mean that it will be budgeted for every financial year and there's nothing being done? Because you've talked something about Gen Zs, going on streets. They do so because they are idle. Why can't you re-establish them so that they become busy? We are not going to run around. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Sam, over to you. And of course, Waziri, as you can see there, we cannot sample all the questions, but also just a comment from the border sector who feel that their question has not been responded to, and that is with regard to the tax on plastic, which is largely used when making their helmets. Over to you, Sam.
All right. There's a lady who has been waiting for the mic over there. Inspect, you'll give her a chance when Waziri allows us. But Alan, you may want to take the questions that have come to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sam. Allow me first to answer my sister there.
Yeah.
I just missed your name. But Charity. Charity talked about, first I mentioned that, I didn't mention that public participation has been done enough. What I said is that there is a good progress that has been done, because previously this kind of engagement was not there. So I began by appreciating the National Treasury by saying and commending them that this is a good job, and saying that they need to do more. And allow me to answer that in conjunction with what you had said, or what you asked. I think it's almost the same, where you asked that most youth, I said that most youth are not informed about the finance bill. What are we doing to ensure that they are informed? The first thing that we are doing now as USPAC, that is Universities and Colleges Student Peace Association of Kenya. Last week, we organized a forum that brought together more than 40 universities, and the topic was about finance bill. We went and talked to the National Treasury, where they came. They brought an expert. I think George is the one who was there. then directly they interacted with the student. And the first thing that they did was, first of all, to train to unpack the finance bill. After unpacking the finance bill, then we organized a forum like this, where now students were able to, they were very well equipped, and they were able to ask from a point of information. From next week, we are organizing forums, regional forums in universities, in all the 8 provinces, the former provinces, just bringing the student so that then they can interact with the actors, ask them questions, so that these students will be able to understand the finance bill and then give their input. And the reason why we are doing this is because we strongly believe that young people need not to be just participants. They need to be actors, and their issues need to be addressed. On the issues about gambling, income through betting company, how we can be able to tap on that, I think CS has the best, will be able to answer that better than me.
Okay.
So thank you so much, Sam.
All right. Thank you. Yes, go ahead, Mheshimiwa.
Yeah, there was a question that was asked about in the finance bill, or what is there in for women, youth, and disabled, isn't it? That was the question. The law, the Constitution itself, says women, youth, disabled must be given 30% of all government procurements, unless maybe some so complicated specialized procurement, such as maybe buying a jet fighter, which those people might not be able. And that is what my committee goes into every department and checks. Up to today, it has not reached the maximum, the 30% that is required. But with checks and balances now and then, there's a lot of improvement the last 2 years or 3 years that I've been checking on this. So you should know that there are also other funds like affirmative action funds, youth funds, many other funds. But what the Constitution is giving you is that 30%. And you must claim it, and you must get it. And if you can't get it for one reason or another, we are doing the oversight, and we'll be able to support you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Of course, there are various questions that are coming towards such funds that you described there, including the NGCDF, which has been determined to be unconstitutional by the High Court, yet it is in the budget. Waziri, you can reflect on some of those questions that have been asked, as well as that final point.
Let me just re-emphasize or add to what my colleague, my Honorable Yusuf, has talked about. We have also taken care of the marginalized groups in the society in this budget. One of them, the cash transfer to the elderly, we are allocating 25 billion. Cash transfer to orphans and vulnerable, 8 billion. I want to just mention something on National Development Fund for persons with disability. We have put 150 million. And we have also put 1 billion for National Fund for the Disabled of Kenya, which has moved from, I think, 400 million to 1 billion. There is also National Autism Support Program. We know what it means. National Albinism Support Program. We have also allocated 90 million for that. So there is quite some allocation for these specialized groups. Right. It may not be enough, but it is some step. Now, on the question that was asked on plastic, I think this must be the issue relating to environment and the issues of the regulations that have been issued through the ministry, through NEMA and Ministry of Environment. It has nothing to do with our finance bill, and those are issues to do with the environmentalists, advocates. They have a lot of issues. Much as we talk of plastics is good for packaging, etc., helmet, they are also saying it is killing the future generation. So that argument, that debate is out there. I wanted to remove it from this discussion because it's not part of our finance bill. We have not brought any such tax in our finance bill. Finance bill aligning with better, I think this is budget estimates aligning with better, and I explained that. And someone has asked, what is it that is in this finance bill? 20, primary goal of this bill. The primary goal, as I said, tax administration, make tax collection efficient, okay? Seal tax leakages and loopholes. And I just want to read the following, that we are increasing daily subsistence allowance not subject to tax for private sector employees from 2,000 to 10,000 shillings per day. It has been 2,000 shillings from 2018. We are increasing that for those who are working in the private sector, because public sector, SRC keeps on revising upwards. To avoid discrimination, we are doing that. Some, I think you belong in that category. So that is a plus for you. Exempting all gratuity, whether paid by public or private employers, from tax. Yeah. No gratuity will be taxed. When you are getting your gratuity, you get it full, you go home.
Whatever your age.
Whatever the age. Allowing 100% deduction in the first year of use, that I said. Allowing deduction of mortgage taken to construct a house. Remember, today, if you take mortgage to buy a house, up to 30%, 30,000 interest paid on that mortgage, up to 30,000 per month is allowable for tax. But if you use the same mortgage to construct a house, it is not allowable. That is unfair. So we are saying, if you use mortgage, whether to construct or buy, it should be the same. Allowing advance price agreement that I talked about, NIFCA certified companies. Kenya is becoming a regional hub, in terms of financial hub. So we want to promote investment in Kenya, financial investment. US is a big economy, largely because it is leading in financial services. Kenya must lead in financial services. We are providing serious tax reliefs for those who are coming to invest here, huge amounts of money, 3 billion shillings, reinvesting 250 million per month, per year. We give you tax relief. If you employ 70% of Kenyans at managerial level, we will give you that relief. Reducing digital asset, I said. Now, today, we said SHA should be allowable for tax purposes, isn't it? But there is nothing that forces employer to deduct that before computing your tax. Mm-hmm. So you find yourself paying payee, which you should not pay. Then at the end of the financial year, when you file returns is when you go to KRA to claim. Now we are making it a condition. Any allowable, any relief we have given to Kenyan, employer must deduct. If they don't deduct, they are culpable. So there are so many things that are in this bill. Let me move quickly to go to the tough questions, as Ndungu had put it. And now, there was a question on how to address equity. I think that I will maybe close with. How shall we? He said that this is unconstitutional. Ndungu, I want to persuade you. There is nothing unconstitutional about what we took to Parliament. That Article 211, we have complied with it fully. Estimates of revenue and expenditure were tabled, not just expenditure. Go and check the documents, both revenue and expenditure. And the revenue, we are projecting total revenue collection of 4,239,000,000. That is expenditure, sorry. The total revenue in terms of ordinary revenue is, let me just give you the figures so that you may know that Sam, I hope I'm not taking your time.
It's okay, you can find it.
Yeah, it's here. So, in terms of expenditure, the total is 4,239,000,000,000. In terms of revenue, it is 3,316,000,000,000. And that 3,316,000,000,000 is composed of 2,756,000,000,000 for ordinary revenue and 559 billion for other, what we call appropriation in aid, or other non-tax revenue. Then there is 46.9 billion grant. Then, now, we have net foreign financing, and that I will address your second question, of 284 billion, and net domestic financing of 591 billion. You are asking that the total debt is about 80%. That is not correct. There is what we call the net financing. There are others which are rollovers. So when you roll over, you are not taking debt to pay recurrent. You are just rolling over a debt. I hope that that clarifies it. We are rolling over the debt, so that does not violate that principle. But the net domestic debt and net foreign debts are within the allowable provisions. Now, you asked about the clubs. I think what you meant is simply multilaterals. You've talked about World Bank, IMF, African Development Bank, and OPEC. Then you have bilaterals led by China. I don't know whether that is the one you call the China Club. China is the biggest, but there are others like Japan, like Italy, etc. Those are bilaterals. Then now you come to what we call the commercial debts. The commercial debts that includes now the Eurobond. There is a Panda bond we can get. Now, recently we took from UAE. That's a commercial debt. And then finally, we have the local or domestic debt. All this, you must balance it in a way that respect the fiscal deficit, the fiscal framework, and also that would help you grow the economy and not to crowd out the private sector. So we are very balanced in the way we mix this budget, the debt mix, because you have to weigh the risks. Each of these debts has a risk component. If you go external, which is dollar calibrated or in foreign currency, the moment something happens to your currency, like it happened recently, then the debt shoots immediately. Remember, by shilling appreciating from 159 to about 129, we reduced our external debt from 6 trillion to 5 trillion without paying. If the reverse happens, it is disastrous. So you need, as you go for external, you must also balance it with domestic. But domestic also, if you go too much domestic, then you crowd out the private sector. Now, that is where you now need brains. You need people who would now manage the mix in a way that does not hurt the economy. And that is exactly what National Treasury is presently doing. We are trying to manage, and even manage liability. Like what happened last year would have not happened if those who were in office then had foreseen that there was a time that would come to pay Eurobond, and we should not give a signal that we are not able to pay that Eurobond, which sent a wrong signal to the economy, and that almost crashed our shilling. That is why recently, in March, we decided to liability manage a debt that is maturing in 2027. We paid it this year. Why? Not because we had so much money, but we were being proactive enough to avoid causing economic disaster going forward.
Sorry, did you say that you're not borrowing to pay recurrent expenditure?
No, we are not borrowing to pay recurrent expenditure. Where are you getting that?
How much borrowing will you do in 2025-2026 in total?
The total borrowing will come to about 284 plus 591. That takes you to 870,
thereabout?
Yes.
How much is the development expenditure?
It's 700 and some amounts.
It's less than your borrowing?
Yes.
So where
but remember, we are transferring money to counties, which also has development budgets. That is what many people don't talk about. So in totality, development budget is covered by our borrowing.
Okay, all right. Very interesting answer there. It's already Wednesday. Do you have a minute for the lady? She had a burning question. The last one.
Good evening. My name is Faith, and my question goes to Waziri. What new provisions does the bill introduce concerning public debt management and public-private partnerships?
Sorry? Did you get the question?
Come again, please, if you don't mind.
What new provisions does the bill introduce concerning public debt management and public-private partnerships?
Which bill? Oh, the finance bill. I don't think there is any specific provision in the finance bill that deals with the public debt management as such, because I think we have enough legislation in place to deal with public debt management, and also public-private partnership as a standalone statute. It has a law that governs it. But something that may interest you is that we have just adopted something that is working and would help in managing public debt and public expenditure, and that is the e-procurement, which we launched last month on 7th. What this simply means, Sam, is that all our procurement from July 1st, all government departments, 3,000 of them, including counties, must be onboarded to our electronic system of procurement, where we remove human interaction with the system. There is nothing that would stop you. You are in US and there is a tendering process in Kenya. You can tender from the US through the system. So that this thing of carrying cartons and cartons of books where someone can come and remove one page and disqualify you ceases to exist. People can now see how you are tendering through the system. Even evaluation can be seen. You can even trace how evaluation is done. If you are losing the tender, you just see, I have lost this fairly. That is likely for areas where it has been applied. Okay. Experience has shown that in the first 1 year, you can cut expenditure on procurable goods and services by about 10%. Okay. So it means if, for example, you procure 1 billion, if you procure 1 billion, you can save 100 million. If you procure 1 trillion goods and services, you can save 100 billion shillings. And that can go a long way in providing services that we badly need.
All right, Lenas, I'll give you an opportunity to give your closing remark because you've been quiet for so long.
Thank you. Thank you, Sam, for the opportunity. My closing remark would be from, being from the Inter-Religious Council of Kenya, an interfaith body, I would say that my closing remarks would come from Isaiah 1, verse 18, which says, let us come together and reason. Let us come and reason together. So, yes, things have been done differently. Things have not served us, but then we have an opportunity. So we need to listen. We need to be a people who listens to each other. Okay. We need to be a government that listens to each other. And by coming together, reasoning together, we will arrive at a solution that serves every Mwananchi in a better way. Thank you.
All right, and we have to leave it at that. Jimmy, have any closing words?
All right, thank you very much, Sam, and of course your panel. And that marks the very end of today's session, and I just want to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you. I know, unfortunately, we couldn't get to all your questions, but there will be another opportunity to engage with the National Treasury, and of course we'll be making sure that we publicize that, and all those who are joining us online and sending their feedback through the hashtag. Of course, we couldn't sample all of it, but we hope that the question that we've been able to raise in this session have at least given you a bit of clarity. From my end, my name is Jimmy Mbogo. Thank you for watching. Sam, over to you.
All right, now Mheshimiwa says that he has something to add.
A very quick one.
And this is the last one.
Yes.
Sure.
As you can see, I have lived long in this Kenya, nowhere else, as a civil servant, as an NGO, international NGO worker, as a politician, and I have seen many finance ministers. I think now we have the right person in the right place at the right time. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for making time for this conversation. We started this conversation yesterday. It's 6 minutes into a new day. Thank you for your attention. Waziri John Badi for making time for us. Thank you so much, Alan Chacha. Thank you, Mheshimiwa Yusuf Eden Haji. Thank you so much, Linus Ndigai. And of course, our great audience here for making this conversation successful. We'll continue to have this and raise the questions that we need to as we move ahead to understanding what is inside the budget of 2025-2026 and the Finance Bill 2025 in a way that no one else can do but Citizen TV. My name is Sam Gituku. Have a good night. See you soon.